Hello, BookTube, and it's now June, so it's time for a wrap-up of what I read in May and a TBR for June. I normally do this on the last day of the month, but I had something else, a video that I wanted to get before get done and up before the end of the month. Now, May was not a good month for me. It's the down in reading and the slump in reading began in April with an upsurge of my long COVID symptoms. So reading was really affected. But I did get some reading done in May. And May was two events that I was participating in. One I kind of failed miserably, and the other one I only partially failed. And the one is that was a carry on from April was MayPIRE, and this was created by Brandy at the Book Eclectic, and I'll have a link down below to her channel. And the other one was Horror Mayhem, that was created by the Bookish Bryants. They are hopefully just temporarily absent from BookTube, but a number of us who were co-hosts last year thought we would continue and do it this year on a more sort of low-key level. However, I kind of failed in that because I only read some of the, it was going to be in conjunction with MayPIRE. And so I did read some for MayPIRE, but I did not read the TBR or the books that I wanted to read for Horror Mayhem. So I failed in Horror Mayhem for the most part. But for the reading that I did in May, that I did get done, and was the new annotated Dracula. And this was annotated and forwarded notes by Leslie S. Klinger. Now, I spoke with Brandy about Dracula in general on a live we did last week. I will try to link everything down below. Now, this is quite substantial. Like, it's probably for every page of Dracula, he has several pages of notes, or at least a couple pages. Because there's like 1,500 notes, and they run from a sentence to small essays almost. So it's quite good. And then there's other supplementary material which was fun to read. But that wasn't all. I had read the notes out of Leonard Woolf's annotated Dracula. It was published in 1975. And then I've been working my way through the notes for this annotated Dracula. Yeah, that's Frank Langella on the cover from Dracula 79. And it's the Essential Dracula by Raymond McNally and Radu Florescu. Now, that's Essential Dracula, but not to be confused with Leonard Woolf's updated version of his annotated called Essential Dracula, which I was going through as well, and sort of seeing that there are differences between his annotated and his Essential Dracula. I don't have that to hand here. I think I put it back on the shelf and I didn't realize when I started the video. Now, I also was going through Clive Leatherdale's annotated Dracula, which is called Dracula Unearthed. But that was not all. I went through the notes for the first edition of the Norton Critical edition of Dracula, and that was edited by Nina Auerbach and David J. Scull. And then also the second edition, which was edited by Edgar Browning and David J. Scull. Now, as everyone knows, the Norton Critical Edition includes extra material like essays, contextual material, and as well as contemporary reviews. Now, I've still got essays to read out of here, out of both of these, and to go through all the annotated notes. Rather than like I'd sort of just started dipping into some of the other annotated editions, but then I decided in the end that I do want to go through them all. So I will eventually get through these in the next month or so. As well as talk about, because I was digging into some other books as well. I have a whole shelf of Dracula related material, or if not more. And while I was reading Dracula, I would dip into these other books as well. But with these, the annotated and the notes, I'm going to do a video eventually in late June, maybe probably more likely in July, to sort of look at each of these editions of Dracula that I have, these annotated editions. And I'll also include the Oxford World Classics, the Penguin Classics edition as well, because they are pretty good with notes. And anything else that I have that was, I think, relevant enough, and sort of do a comparison of these and talk about what I think are the strengths and weaknesses of each of them. Now, also adjacent to that, I've read the drafts of Dracula, which is literally his notes and talking about the manuscript, and quite a bit of other material as well. But it was edited and annotated by Robert 18 Bissang and Elizabeth Miller, forward by Dacre Stoker. Now, I did speak to Brandy. We did live last week about Dracula, and we spoke at length regarding, Dracula, basically. So I will leave a link in the description to that live if you care to listen to it. Now, that's all I got for sort of horror material or the MayPIRE material. There were other books that I wanted to read, which I didn't. I do still have to read, which I'm going to put it on my list as reading it here and there. So I'm not putting it on a TBR, but is David J. Scull's biography of Bram Stoker called Something in the Blood. Now, other books that I read during the month. This one was for my Patreon book club, The Inheritors by William Golding. I won't be doing a video regarding this. I don't do videos regarding the Patreon ones. If you are interested in joining the Patreon group, book club, the link to the Patreon is down below. And what we do is we discuss with the members in a Voxer group. And there's a pick every month. And this was for May. Now, I had read William Golding before. I will say that, yeah, I've read William Golding before, Lord of the Flies. I never cared for it. I never liked it, but I always wanted to revisit it. And when this came up as a possibility to read, I jumped at it because I figured, okay, well, I won't reread Lord of the Flies yet. I'll read this and see what I think. And I had the same problems that I had with Lord of the Flies with this. There's bits of this that I thought were well done and I liked, or aspects about it, but it failed as a book for me. And I didn't get on with it. I'm not writing William Golding off yet because I will be reading another novel of his at some point. So hopefully that will turn things around. And for Edgar's Resurrectionist book club, there were two picks that Edgar kicked it off with, and you may not think there's connections, but there were. It was a cunning connection that Edgar actually had made, and the first was The Mystery of Fu Manchu published in 1913-14 by Sax Rohmer. The American title is The Insidious Dr. Fu Manchu. And I have done videos for this and the next pick as well, so I will link those below. And the second one was Bulldog Drummond by Sapper, or H.C. McNeil, who his real name was. And yeah, and we will be doing, if you want to join Edgar's Resurrectionist book club, just read the book, and we have a Voxer group as well to discuss this, and then I will do videos on this, and we'll discuss in the comments, and I will do other videos for that. The Patreon book club is different. As I say, there is there is the link down below, and that's just, that is, it also helps and supports me by being a member of this. So I do appreciate the members that are a part of that, because it's a different tact for the book club rather than on the channel here. Now, then last night, which this is the first now, I read for Second Childhood Book Quest is The Little Ghost by Ottfried Preussler. I think that's the pronunciation, Preussler. Ottfried Preussler. Now, I'm not going to say anything really much here about the book other than, well, yeah, it's about a ghost. But there will be a video that I should be able to record in the next day or two and have it up on, have it scheduled for Saturday. Now let me move these things away, because that was my reading, all my reading for May, which was for me quite pitiful in many ways. Now, before we get to June on the Range, I will talk about the other books that I'll be reading this month. And a lot of it is catch up from April, and obviously for May, which I didn't get to, the ones that series that I'd be reading. Now, the first is the Strangers and Brothers series, The Masters by C.P. Snow. That should have been May's read. I've started it last night, late last night, so at least I got a little bit in for May, so I'm pleased with that. And hopefully I'll get that done today, tomorrow, and have a video up over the weekend for that. Now, I did not get to my Emile Zola's Rougon-Macquart series in April, so I still have money to read, so that will be done this month. And I failed on the Hornblower saga, which I should have read Hornblower and the Atropos, which I will be out of this omnibus of three titles. But also, too, is very short, his last unfinished novel, which fits in, I think, before Atropos, is Hornblower and the Crisis. It's very, very thin. So I should be able to knock those off. And that, I think, was April's reading, which I didn't get to. I failed for that. Also for May is the next book in the Dance to the Music of Time by Anthony Pohl, Casanova's Chinese Restaurant. I'll be getting to that this month. So I'm behind, in other words, a month on these series that I'm doing. So I'm hoping to either this month, depending on how things go, or in July to finally catch up. Now, the pick or Edgar's pick for his book club, the Resurrectionist book club, is The Benson Murder Case by S.S. Van Dyne. It's the first Philo Vance novel that was written in 1926. So I'm looking forward to reading that again. And actually, I will be reading a annotated edition of that, which I don't have to hand at the moment, which I will have. Now, let's move on to Michael K. Vaughan's amazing event, June on the Range, which I participated in last year and really, really enjoyed. And this year I'm going to continue with something that I did start last year, which was reading material from dime novels. And I really only did one of these. Well, we'll get to it in a second. I'll be doing this once a week. This is from the stories of Ned Buttline, and it's the hero of 100 fights. But there's 4 dime novels in this book, and I'll be reading one a week. So they're short. So that's, I should be able to knock one off in a morning, afternoon, or a day. Let's just say a day. Buffalo Bill, the King of Bordermen, or the wildest and truest tale I've ever told. And then Hazel Eye, the Girl Trapper, a tale of strange young life. And the third one, The Minor Detective, or the Ghost of the Gulch. And then the fourth and last is Wild Bill's Last Trail. And this has introductory material about dime novels and dime novel westerns, which will be very, very nice to read. And the one that I started last year was it's an Edison Aid series that went on for a long time. And it's Frank Reed and Steam Men of the Plains series. And there's 2, or is there one? Just 2 in here in this volume, first volume that's been reprinted. It's Extraordinary Adventures of Frank Reed Jr. by Louis Sanarins. So that'll be fun to get back to. And again, one of these will be one a week, and they are very short. And also, there's 2 in here. The Steam Man of the Prairies, dime novel anthology. This is more of the not Louis Sanarins, but this is, I believe, the first writer, which is escaping me at the moment. But it's Frank Reed and his Steam Horse, and that was published in 1882. And then Jack Wright and his Electric Stage, sort of a later one, in 1894. So those will be fun to get to. Also, I'll be trying to throw in some short stories. Now, last year I read the westerns of Clifford D. Simak, science fiction writer. Now, the 13th volume of his collected short works is coming out this month, and it has been ordered for me by a wonderful subscriber. So I'm expecting the 13th story to be in there. So I'll be reading that once it comes later in the month. And another short story I'll be doing is from Philip Jose Farmer. And this is Riverworld and Other Stories. You're wondering why Philip Jose Farmer? But yes, he wrote a sort of Western that I thought I would reread for the fun of it. It's JC on the Dude Ranch. It's Jesus Christ on the Dude Ranch. Now, I'll just read a bit of the foreword of the book here, or the short story that he puts in here. He says this story appears for the first time anywhere. Its genesis lies in exchange by letter between Bob Bloch and me. That's Robert Bloch, author of blanking. The Hitchcock thriller with Anthony Hopkins, or Anthony Perkins, sorry. Oh, I don't, I'm blanking on it. Sorry. But everybody will know this, with Janet Leigh as well. Or Janet Leigh, yeah, Janet Leigh. Um, but anyway, it's Genesis lies in exchange by letter between Robert Bloch and me, or Bob Bloch and me. I asked him if he'd ever read the novel Tom Mix Died for Your Sins by Darryl Ponikin. He wrote back saying that he had not, and he added, I've never read Jesus Christ on the 101 Ranch either. Things like that flow from his lips night and day. He can't help it, and millions are glad that he can't. But when I read that, I thought, wow, what a great title for a story. So he went and wrote it and changed it to JC on the Dude Ranch. So that'll be a fun thing to discuss. Now, also that I've been reading throughout the year is the Sacketts saga by Louis L'Amour. And I've failed for April, I think, and May for that. So, and this being June on the Range, I will be doing I'll be doing 4 of those to try to catch up. And the next one is Jubal Sackett, so that is the largest of them. I don't think I got them in correct order here, but there's Ride the River. Let's see here. The Daybreakers, Lando. They're all short, so they'll be really quick reads. But also too, that was part of the reading quest, I guess you would say, for June on the Range is Louis L'Amour, and the other one was Zane Grey. Now, and part of Roger's Cheapo Book Club is The Lone Star Ranger by Zane Grey. So I'll be reading one of these a week, and I'll be reading one of those a week as well. And I've got Wildfire by Zane Grey, The Last Trail by Zane Grey, and the Riders of the Purple Sage. And so that'll be fun. And again, this is a TBR that I'm hoping to complete. It's not beyond my capabilities under normal circumstances, so let's just hope normal circumstances continue with regards to my health, and I can get to those and more, hopefully. Also, I'm hoping to participate, not participate so much, but Mark at Book Time with Elvis and I have been reading French literature every month. I sort of tagged along to something he set a task for this year. And I need to catch up for May's, but in April is Phantom of the Opera, so I should be reading that. I don't have a copy in front of me here. Also to possibly Brideshead Revisited. And then there is my Patreon book club pick as well, which I will be reading. So hopefully I can get all these in. So anyway, are you participating in June on the Range? If so, do let me know what you're reading. I have spoken about this before already, but since this is a wrap-up in TBR for June, I thought I would ask again in case some didn't see that video. So anyway, that's it for now. I will see you next time. And Mark and I should be back tomorrow on Friday with our Friday reads. Thank you, BookTube.